Welcome everybody to a Ballroom Dance Chat. My name is Mario Skonieczny, and today I have with me Simone Onnis. How are you, Simone?
I'm good, Mario. How are you?
Great. Simone, I wanted to have this chat because, as many people are aware, you and I partner up together to form Ballroom Dance Fashions. And we came up with some instructional DVDs, and some of the people don't know who we are, so I wanted to kind of have this conversation. First of all, to introduce myself, because many people will go to that site and say, "Who is this Mario?" So, I have been a ballroom dancer for the past 10 years, and the way Simone and I met is because my partner and I occasionally go to New York to have our training with Vibeke and Allen. And during one of our lessons, Vibeke suggested that we should have a new costume, and she started talking to us about you should have a feather here and a short skirt and all of this. And at one point I said, well, who's going to make it? And she just turned and looked at Simone and asked him, I hope you heard the entire conversation. And that's how it all started. And Simone made a nice costume for us. And then we started talking about possibly making instructional DVDs together to help other dancers make their own costumes. So, Simone, I wanted to ask you, how did you become a ballroom costume designer?
Good question. Well, actually, Mario, I always, like, since I was a kid, I always enjoyed drawing and designing. I did actually took, the equivalent of art college in Italy. But then I dropped out of school to pursue my ballroom career instead, as it was appearing to be more promising. With that, it came also the need of continuous new costumes for the various competition I participated to. And especially after you rise to a certain level, it really becomes a need to always look the part of the champion. That also came at a great cost, and so ultimately it was a need. I needed to have a new costume more often than I could afford. So what I did, I just start recreating the costumes that I already had. I tore them apart, bought new fabrics, copied them from scratch, and for the first couple of times, I limited myself to simply recreate something that I already had on a different color.
So at that point you were not playing to be creative. You just kind of wanted to
No,
learn the construction, right?
exactly. I was just worried about me having a good costume and a different one every time I went out. Um,
Now,
Fair enough.
did this include just your particular costume, or you did it also for your partner?
I actually start doing my own, so my pants and my shirts only.
Okay,
Uh,
and then how did you get into dressmaking? Because then she needed something and she asked you to do it, and then you did this. You followed the same path.
well, exactly. This is exactly it. For men, it's very expensive, but for women, is even more expensive. And it started out, actually started out with a dress that we ordered, and it arrived as a disaster. She could not wear it, and so out of desperation, we bought some fabrics, and we we patched it up the best way we could, until actually what I did looked better than the one we received. And so then I started up making from scratch. And I tell you this, the first few times I also made some disasters. I wasn't perfect. It took a long time to perfect my technique and to learn from mistakes. And some people were very happy. But unfortunately, in my path, I also make some people not so happy. And I guess that's part of the process. But here I am now, making clothes for some of the champions. So,
But
well,
I can kind of relate to what you're saying because before we met, I have never used a sewing machine before, and after recording you, and I learned a lot just by watching you. And I haven't made a dress from A to Z yet or an outfit, but parts of it, we tried like making the leotard following your video, and the first leotard that we put together, I mean, it was a complete disaster. It took about 6 or 7 times just to
Before you know how, yes.
because you kind of learn and then you discover different problems that you encounter, and then you learn how to solve them. So I can kind of relate to what you're saying.
Yes, exactly, Mario. And it does is not as easy as it seems it might be. But with practice, everyone becomes perfect. That's and also like I wish someone would have at least taught me a few techniques, or at least explained to me how the fabrics, stretch fabrics, behaved. But I guess my own experience did talk me, and I'm very very happy to share this information with others that the the need the need to, or just simply want to do it.
I see. But now you have been in the ballroom dancing for many years, almost 30
Yes.
years. Now, from your
Yes.
experience,
Hmm.
how do most of the dancers get their costumes? Do most of them, have it custom made, or do many dancers make it themselves? What's your take on this?
It really depends on the level and the experience. Of course, the top level couples will have their own costumes made for them, and they will be the first one to wear them. Um, Lower levels tend to buy from the champions. Sometimes it's just to be recognized, sometimes just because they like it. Other times it's because the champions happen to be their own teachers, and teachers tend to then pass on their costumes to their own students, so that when their students are on the floor, other judges might recognize them as, oh, that's the costume that such and such wore 2 months ago in that competition. So there's it's also like sort of like a communication, like to be recognized, to be noticed. It's all part of the game. Um, Not everybody that is in lower level has wears secondhand outfits. A lot of them buy them new. It really depends also on the finances. Like it depends how much money you can afford to spend on your costumes. Some people have made them themselves. I know a lot of my peers that they make their own costumes, and they do a very good job. They might not be interested on selling them or making money out of it, but they're perfectly capable of making their own. Although sometimes it is nice that somebody else is making your dresses, because then you can concentrate on your dancing instead.
Right, that's true. Well, one time, um, yeah, I was talking to a dressmaker, and I expressed my interest in learning how to make ballroom costumes. He said, why would you do that? If you're busy making money and teaching dancing lessons, it doesn't make sense for you to spend time making costumes, because you can make more money teaching. What do you think about that?
That's true. Oh, that's absolutely true. By the hour, definitely you make more money teaching.
I
Okay,
see.
that's for sure. So, but at the same time, Mario, I believe if you do like it, you have to like it. In order for somebody to start a business making ballroom dresses, they must like it a little. You don't just do it because of the money, because really the labor is labor intensive, and the materials are very expensive. And unless you are a top brand, you can't really charge thousands of dollars. No one would buy it from an unknown source. So it's sort of a catch-22 situation. um, but ultimately it's really up to your interest. If The time when you wanted to make the dress is because you really wanted to do it. Then you should have done. You shouldn't have not listened to any suggestions. Like that doesn't really mean anything. But if you really want to do as a business, it is not easy, and you could go wrong. And then it becomes more of a loss than it is an income.
Right, right. So for your for your dressmaking business, who do you make costumes right now for? Is it your students, yourself, or complete strangers?
Definitely for myself and my students, no doubt about. And I cannot, I don't want to brag about, but for example, my students will never buy anything from anybody else. It's because I also do the competitions with them, and it's convenient for them to know that my costume will match theirs. It's always a nicer feeling, that I know their body by now, so it's pretty much a safe bet that after 2 or 3 dresses that I made for them, that the fourth dress is gonna be just as good. Um, they trust me also with their own hair and makeup. I'm very lucky because when I lived in London, I also took a college where I learned how to do hair and makeup for theater and television. Therefore, I for me it's a package. They with me they buy a package. They buy instruction and also they buy looks, which for them at the end of the day is less to think about.
And this was actually the next question I was going to ask you. When you come up with the look, whether it is for a, a couple or your student, whether you just simply focus on the dress or whether you look at the whole picture and try to put the the makeup and hair together. So you take that into consideration from what you're saying.
Absolutely, Mario. Like from the building of the choreography to the shape of the dress to the where the hair, the color of the hair and the makeup, the nails, the jewelry, everything it's thought to the best result, which is ultimately the comfort of the person in question.
Wow, wow, that's a lot of work. Now, one other thing I wanted to ask you, recently you designed an outfit for a uh, I might be incorrect here, but it's a junior couple that went to Blackpool, and I saw
Austin,
pictures.
Austin and Karina.
Austin and who?
Austin Dawson and Karina.
Right.
Austin used to be a national champion in the US national junior champion, and is a very talented kid. And now he's with his own new partner from England, and they have costumes made by other people as well. I only made one costume for them, but they were taking few pictures and they wrote me a nice email. They were very happy, and I received a lot of compliments. Um, but yes, so that was a success story.
Well, I saw the picture online, and it looked fabulous. So below this interview, if you're interested to look at the photo, I have it posted below. But how did they do, by the way, at the competition?
They did the semi-final in Blackpool, and that's pretty good result in junior. No, not junior, in youth.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
and that was the first time the dance. So it's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. They were
Well,
very happy.
yeah. Well, and you must be very proud of them too, since you were,
Well,
kind of part of their success.
I would like to be more proud, but like I only played a very small part. I only really made their costumes. Really, that the result come from dancing. Although the look really do help, especially come out of the crowd. If you look good, people will notice, and then you have more chances that your dancing get noticed. But ultimately, if you can't dance, there's no costume who's going to save you.
Right,
It's
right. That's that's very true. Now, one other thing, the final thing that I wanted to ask you, uh, when we were putting these videos together, you mentioned that you were hoping to try out for a TV show called Project Runway. Would you mind talking a little bit about it and how the progress is going?
Well, for that, I actually I applied the first time and I got called back, but I did not go to the auditions as I didn't feel I was ready enough. if you will.
Okay.
Um, you know, like up until now, I have been mostly making costumes, and I've been watching the program for a couple of times, and they do not love costume makers. So I didn't want to go there with all of the stuff that I made for dancing, because I would be crucified for that. You know, I would be judged over that, and even if I was chosen, everything I would have made, I would have been told that I was making costumes. And so I would like to reapply and instead bring some mainstream clothing, for which I'm working on at this moment. So
Do they expect you to have like your personal line of clothing?
they would like for you to have a point of view. They often go on these point of view, and I noticed that many of the designers that go there, they keep going on about their own aesthetics, which would, for me, it's a bit of, I won't say the word, but it's a bit, uh, you know I don't know. To me, of course, it's about the aesthetic of. I mean, taste is very important, but also ultimately, for me, is also to make something that complements the person that's wearing it. Uh, so, what if my aesthetic says that I like only black? If somebody doesn't look good in black, screw my aesthetic. Sorry, perhaps I
Right.
shouldn't use that word.
This is, this is our podcast. We can say whatever we want.
Oh, all right, all right.
If people don't like it, they can turn it off.
Oh,
Well,
but
great.
no.
Well, I hope that I hope that one day you will get on the project runway. I'm sure from knowing your personality, people will love watching you, and I'm sure they would cheer for you. But from my personal experience working with you, uh, I've worked on many different things with a lot of people, and I always tell to my partner that it was great to go through this project with you. It was no problems.
Oh,
We
very. Thank you, Mario. That's very nice.
Yeah.
I
Well,
thought
I
I
mean,
thought I stressed you out a lot.
uh, in comparison to other things that I did, it was such a smooth thing because we decided to do these videos together. You were always prepared. It was just one bam, 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 1, 2, 3, and the next thing you know, now we completed the 6 DVDs, and from the early response that we get from people. Uh, uh, Everyone likes you on the camera, so I hope that people will benefit from these videos and learn how to make their own
Exactly.
costumes, and get the
Exactly.
results that they deserve, by making their dancing be enhanced by good costumes.
Exactly, Mario. Sorry if I was interrupting you. And ultimately, really, for me, it was more important that the sharing of the information. If, like, I know, although I am a dressmaker, I know that there is a lot of people out there that would love to dance and look somehow, some way, and unfortunately, they really can't. I've been one of those myself, so I totally understand that, and that's why I'm not jealous. I love if anybody else could just use my technique and make themselves happy. But also, I want to say this, Mario, that none of this could have happened if it wasn't for you. So for that, I have to thank you. You made it possible. You came up with the idea, and you also were just pushy enough to make it happen, and in a short time. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad we both appreciate each other. So, Simone, I want to thank you for your time to do this interview. I'm sure we'll do it again. People will have questions about various different things. So we'll just get on the phone again and chat, and hopefully we can help them out. So, for just right now, thank you very much for your time. And for all of you listeners out there, I hope you enjoy this interview.
My pleasure, Mario. Thank you. See you soon.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.